This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome one, welcome all. It's time once again, for the first time in a while. Unfortunately, we've had to miss a couple of rounds, but we are raring to go to get back into the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup. This is going to be the 15th round of this very long season. It's a solo endurance round, 60 minutes at Circuit Zolder in Belgium. Hosted the Belgian Grand Prix for quite some time in the 70s and 80s. So this track has quite a bit of Formula One history. Let's see if the Porsches pull something similar off. I'm Reese Gardner. It's Nick Skarayev alongside me in the commentary box with Jay Kennedy on production. Well, Nick, I guess it's time to check out this track here at Zolder. Been through a few changes over the years. In its current form, it's a circuit that has a bit of a slow average speed, plenty of chicanes and heavy braking zones around the lap to set the drivers off.
Yeah, I'd have to say, such a little bit of a fan favourite, definitely a favourite of mine. Those big trees, those technical corners, it's really got it all. One thing to note as well, a lot of wheel time has been done, usually in the open wheelers. You see these tracks just so popular with the Formula 3, the Formula 4 and stuff, so it can be really enjoyed by kind of a car with any speed. So to see these Porsches thunder around, it's going to be, yeah, quite a spectacle to see.
Yeah, certainly will. This track has a lot of big curbs that you need to attack to get a lot of pace, but the off-tracks are quite brutal around here. If you put a wheel off the track in iRacing, you get an incident point, and particularly at the Turleman chicane there at the top of the circuit, that's going to be an issue, because those curbs are wide and flat, but it's difficult to pick your line through there. So, let's see what the drivers can do here at this 15th round of the season. This is how they stand coming into this round. Bo Albert currently dominating the championship standings at the moment in the pro class, 900 points ahead of Matthew Bowler in car 12, though Bowler did top the practice session times, so we'll see how much of a race he can give Bo here. It's 44 points between Simon Mazomo and Tyson Broad for the Pro-Am Championship. And no surprise to see Nicholas Gariich in 10th overall and leading the AM standings by quite some margin.
Yeah, you can actually see there with Nicholas Gariich there, so he's way ahead of his next competitor there, Jarvin Wood. Do believe those two are actually together in the team of them, so quite a strong showing there. And then 15th of Kyle Booth, and then a big gap to the rest of the AM class, so I'm sure that we'll end up seeing a few of those guys getting some promotions in some coming seasons.
Yeah, indeed. Well, still a good amount of drivers looking for points here tonight as we're in Group 1 in the qualifying session at the moment. Car 53, Hayden Veld out there at the moment and trying to work his way through this very difficult middle sector of the lap, the first chicane that you come to after the flowing first sector. Some very big curbs at this track here, and wow, look at how much it bucks the car around. This is how they're looking for the strategy tonight. It is a 60-minute solo endurance race. No required pit stops, but you will have to pit for fuel at some point. We're expecting the fuel tank to last about 28 laps in these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, and the tank is restricted to 66 litres. So each driver is going to have to make at least one pit stop tonight, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was actually, I was just going through the notes a little bit earlier on, and you're right there. So these races are for time, they're not for laps. We did see that you could expect somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes out of these cars. So it's a tricky track too when you have the likes of those really, really high speed tracks like the big America ones where you can kind of sit in and roll off the throttle here with these technical chicanes that you've really got to put the foot all the way down there, so it really happens to burn through these the fuel here for these Porsches.
On board with Kyle Booth, teammate with Nick Garriott, AM Championship leader. Garriott Booth Motorsports has been the star team in the AM class. They've pulled off some really good results at just about every round so far. Out of the final corner, then you have to take that curb quite substantially, widen the exit as Booth comes around to start his lap. It's a very difficult first turn here at Zolder. Tightens up right in the middle, so it's difficult to pick the line when you're entering, but there's still plenty of time to be gained either way. Pulse Racing Team's Javin Wood, meanwhile, in car 369. He's coming to the end of his first proper qualifying lap. There's going to be a 1 minute 31.866. That only puts him 0.02 of a second behind Nicholas Garriott. So if Garriott doesn't improve, it looks like he's going to have a big race on his hands tonight. And, well, we better hope that Javin Wood doesn't do that in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually seen, for a practice session, it's quite interesting. We've seen quite a few cars have come off there. I think potentially with the track conditions there and these slow corners, maybe heat isn't getting into the tyres as much as what they thought they would. So we have seen quite a few Porsches already backing it into the fence, which is exactly not what you want to do. But sure, yeah, we are in the qualifying, so it isn't too much of a big problem.
Yeah, well, the track temperature is reasonably warm. It's 33 degrees Celsius on the tarmac out there and 32-degree air temperature. So I think there would be some warmth getting into these tyres, but they're a pretty hard compound on these Porsches. So I would say that you're right in your supposition there, Nick, as Booth comes to the end of his first lap, goes to 4th in this first group. 132.6 that time, and looks like Daniel Stevens and Matthew Kidd stuck in the 134s at the moment. I don't think they've set a time that is quite to the standards that they're setting themselves just yet. They've still got some time, though, so we'll have to see. We're going to be looking at points being awarded for positions in qualifying. If you've got pole position outright, you'll get 30 points. You get 20 points for second place and 15th for third place, and those are all outright. It's not affected by what class you're in, and it doesn't count for class points necessarily. So we'll have to see how things work out there towards the end of the session. It's based on real life weather from Sunday just gone, the temperatures that we're seeing, so it's pretty scorching out there in virtual Zolder. Veld, meanwhile, going to provisional pole there, and that is a pretty good time into the 131.3s, 5/10 now on Nicholas Garriott.
Yes, such a funny corner there. Almost brought back so many memories that with that wall, that big left-hander just after that, the start-finish line, completely blind. So it's quite tricky trying to get the apex in there. It just really requires a lot of practice, which I'm sure a lot of our drivers have put in here tonight. And then you can see Kyle Booth comes along the line. So you can actually see here this turn that I'm talking about. So you've got to hang it really wide there. Oh, late turn. Maybe a bit later than maybe what he planned to there, but big late turn. In this corner is actually quite a little bit easier to square off when you run it super wide in the curve. You can just see the car get a little bit unsettled. Oh, I just love this track. I feel like I say that about every... I love them all. They're all my children and I love them all. Oh, sorry, just off camera there, Kyle Booth. Dropped 2 tyres off into the kitty litter there, but thankfully put it together, so he just did that off camera there.
Yeah, very easy to make mistakes here at Zolder. It is a pretty old school track as we go to our first replay of the night, thanks to our friends at Virtual Racing School. The track narrows up quite a bit out of this right-hander, and there you go. You see Booth just getting it into the kitty litter a little bit, but well saved. I think that would be an off-track, though. You have to get on the power as quickly as you can because there is a straight, but man, There's no room beyond the curb for error there. We should also highlight, you might have noticed at the end of the lap, the drivers are negotiating a slow chicane. Originally, we were going to be running the alternate layout, which eliminates that braking zone. Splits off about here, and you'll see the cars get on the brakes and go for the slow chicane to end the lap. That little road in between the corners is what we would have been running otherwise, but it being a very quick flick to end the lap, it's very easy to get these Porsches unstable and spin them out. So in setup testing, race control at AOG decided we would change layouts for this round, and I think it's a pretty good decision, Nick, because getting on the brakes as hard as you do for that final chicane, it offers up another overtaking opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It might have even thrown a bit of, might have even got a few of our drivers there off on the back foot a little bit there. So practicing the way that they have, obviously the track is for the most part very much the same there, but you'd have to say that, you know, they make it look very easy. It almost looks like how I do sim racing, of just show up on the day and hope for the best. But a lot of work goes into developing the setups and getting the practice and stuff right. And it's not just, you know, an hour here, an hour there. It's proper practice that they're putting in there. So a late track change can definitely mix stuff up, but I'm sure, I'm sure it won't affect these guys possibly too much. Maybe a track with a bigger layout change could potentially, could make a bit more of a difference there. But
well, that's an improvement from Javin Wood, up to P2 now, and beating Garriich, new driver to the series, Hamish Scott, in 4th. Let's see if Garriich can respond as Hayden Veld exits the final couple of corners here to try and improve on his provisional pole time, 131.333. So gaining 3 thousandths of a second, but it didn't count. He picked up an off track on that lap. In a qualifying session on iRacing, if you get any kind of incident point on your qualifying lap, it's immediately invalidated. So Veld's going to stay out there and continue to try and improve. Garriich out of the final corner. That was a big oversteer moment over the curb for the AM Championship leader. 131.795 for him. And it looks like that was a nice improvement. On board here, we'll see. Whoa, hello. Right on the lock stops there. Pretty fantastic recovery there from Garriich, but I can't help but think it probably cost him a 10th or 2 with that little slide out of the final corner.
yeah, absolutely, especially on such a long straight section as well. So would have definitely taken off quite a lot of momentum. But gee, we'd have to say, we're just even talking about the amount of practice that goes into it. Everyone just seems to catch these slides so well. Oh, geez, gone hard there over those anti-cut curbs there, so didn't seem to unsettle the car too much. It's such a lovely part of that track. I think it's called the Butte end in there, or the Butt end. But yeah, nice rolling hills through the top there. I'm sure they've got to roll off the throttle a little bit coming over that crest. Here they come over another hill.
Yeah, speaking of rolling off the throttle, you saw Garriich slow down there coming out of the Terleman chicane. As the checkered flag flies for Group 1, he got a slowdown there by going too far beyond the curbs. Veld is starting now his final attempt at a qualifying lap. Checkered flag has already flown for Group 1. It is the AM class and some of the Pro-Ams that are out there on track at the moment. The rest of the Pro-Am class will be going out with the Pro class for Group 2. One thing that we haven't highlighted yet is pit entry here at Zolder. A little bit of a slipstream there for Hayden Veld, might give him a little bit of an extra benefit in terms of time to wheeling it through the chicane, having to recover ever so slightly. When he comes up to the end of the lap, Nick, you'll note that pit entry splits off after the braking zone for the final chicane. Oh no, it looks like Veld has unfortunately overshot Terleman just a little bit, so it's not going to go to the end. But we'll see here with Javin Wood. Watch, you see pit entry there just up ahead. He gets on the brakes for the chicane, but see, there's pit entry. You got to go straight on. It's an entry very similar to the one we see at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. So there could be a lot of potential dramas there you basically don't brake for the final chicane in order to enter the pits.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if you're using the car in front of you, could definitely cause some problems there. We actually did see, I think Kyle Booth is in, as well as Hayden Veld as well. Note of Hayden Veld as well. So he did not take tyres during that qualifying session there. So trying to push those tyres as far as he could.
Indeed, Veld is reversing through the pits at the moment, but that's not going to put a damper on his night so far. Provisional pole, 131.337 for him, and then Jabin Wood will take the AM class pole position ahead of Garriott, Booth, Stevens and Kidd. Hamish Scott putting it into 4th overall as things stand, but 7/10 off Hayden Veld. There's a chance that he might fall down the field here now that Group 2 has begun their session. The rest of the drivers out there at the moment. We got about 20 cars here to make their way through. To be completely exact, 21 drivers in the session, plus 2 race control drivers of Dan Yeaman and Tom Wilkinson. Either of those guys will bring out the manual safety car, the McLaren 570S GT4, if there's a big enough incident out on the track. But for the time being, they're mostly just working in the background, trying to sort out rule disputes and assign penalties to drivers if there are any infractions. But car number 97, Joshua Van Treek, a driver who has certainly been spectacular at times this season, will be hoping for a good night here tonight. Van Treek was down the order quite a bit in the practice session. 132.383 is the fastest time he set. And for context, the quickest time overall was Matthew Bowler, 1 minute 30.047. There he is in the Visceral Esports machine, of course combined with Evolution Racing Team, because he and his teammate Sebastian Flock, they started the season driving for Pursuit Sim Racing, those two, but they changed teams mid-season. Flock's gone to Evolution Racing Team and Matt Bowler has gone for Visceral, but for championship counting purposes, they are still part of the same individual team, so they've decided to combine their new teams for the rest of this series. Bowler through the first couple of corners, flat out through this right-hander, but then you've got to get on the brakes and try to tip it in here for this difficult right, that once again narrows quite a bit on the exit. You've got to be so careful of the line you take through there. Let's see what the fastest driver in practice can do into the Butte End chicane, and over the curbs he comes. The car looks reasonably stable there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just see how coming into that chicane, really lining himself up for the exit there. You actually did see a bit of Corey Shepherd. I think it was Corey Shepherd actually had a massive lose keeping it off the wall though. So already seeing a few of these Porsches loop around. Did set in the first qualifying session. We did catch at least one so far as well. Also having a little bit further of a look down, so Bo Albert is out on the track as well. He is around the back end of the track, but we're seeing already a few times put up there. Veld to Wood to Garage as well. So I'm sure we're going to see these times tumble. Potentially we might even be able to see in the really low 130s, potentially even a 129.
We'll see then. That's a good opening salvo from Matt Bowler, 130.4. And a 31.29 from Simon Mazzono. Sebastian Flock goes to P2 in the number 84, 131.0 for him. But Bowler quite a ways ahead of everyone else at the moment. Bo Albert for Altus Esports crossing the line, and he won't be too happy with 6 so far. Thomas Hinds, meanwhile, he'll be happy. He has just gone to P2. Excellent stuff there. And the driver we were referencing a little earlier, Dylan Shepherd, he's widening the entry to the last corner, trying to get a straight run onto the front straight. Lachlan Capel, meanwhile, just going to second place at the moment in the Drop Bear Motorsport machine. So that is a pretty good start there for the 018.
Yeah, absolutely. So great seeing Drop Bear getting those runs up on the board there. So second place is definitely not one to turn your nose up at there. You actually see just how blown apart this this qualifying order is at the moment, but it is all going to tighten it up You can be sure of it. Just as the heat gets in the tyres, we're definitely going to see a stronger run there of Bo Albert. Cameron Dance is definitely seeing quite a few purple sectors as well. We haven't seen too much from Daniel Stevens either, so there's definitely a few wild cards in this to bring these times down.
Yeah, Daniel Stevens took part in Group 1, so we won't be seeing any more of him tonight. Bo Albert, meanwhile, coming into the final chicane. He's one of the favourites for pole position, very close to Matthew Bowler in practice. Let's see what kind of time he can set, picking up just a little slipstream down the front straight. 1 minute 30.38, that's more like it. Bo Albert to overall pole. And on the subject of Daniel Stevens, Nick, we've been notified that he recently upgraded his rig and he's still getting used to the seating position. So that might explain why he wasn't quite on the pace here tonight. He's still getting used to his new hardware. There's an improvement for Van Treek, meanwhile, up to 11th overall. But see on the timing tower, as things stand, Albert Bowler 1 and 2, Lachlan Capel to the Pro-Am class pole for the time being.
You have to say there, sorry, my mic is on. You have to say there, Daniel Stevens had such an awesome old rig there, so I'd be quite impressed to see what he's upgraded to. So definitely a bit of a gearhead like all of us as well. And we've seen in the past, he's run the triple screens, has all the buttons sorted out, has you name it there. So really, really dialed in setup. So. And you're exactly right. Any kind of, just trying to think of what the word is. So, yeah, any slight change in position would make it quite difficult to try and get your head around. It's almost like when you jump in your parents' car to move it down the street or something. But I'm sure we'll see some stronger action from him.
You see that time from Matthew Bowler. Goodness gracious, that is almost matching his practice time, 1:30.069. Big improvement for Hayden Veld, meanwhile. He's gone from 18th to 4th, and looks like he's well and truly done with that run, backing off out of turn 1. Hayden going to a 1 minute 30.7. Fantastic performance there, but Matthew Bowler really throwing the gauntlet down with that time. Let's see how Bo Albert can respond, and Thomas Hinz as well, who was very fast early on.
Yeah, absolutely. So Thomas Hinz, we haven't really seen too much of earlier in the season, so great for him to have a go. So, have a go here at AOG Porsche, and yeah, we've got such a class of drivers here, so cool to see him fight it up. And he's almost got the advantage of everyone else, so he doesn't really have to have. He's not really thinking about a championship there, so he can really push as hard as he likes there without too much repercussions.
Yeah, certainly. It looked like Sebastian Flock there having a spin at the Turleman chicane up ahead of Thomas Hinz. Hopefully, Flock will be able to get that thing going again as Hinzy comes out of the slowest corner on the lap. Let's see what kind of time this works out to for him. Should also see Cameron Dance potentially improve towards the end of the session. He's picked up damage somewhere along the way. I think he took too much out of a curb, but he's committed to it. Going to the pits, though. Thomas Hinz across the line, 1:31.6. Unfortunately, a lap not to the standard that he's already set. It's about 5/10 off what he set initially, so he remains P5 with 6 minutes remaining in the session. See what the likes of Tyson Hanmer can do in the Pro-Am class. The Autoserve Racing driver, firing it in a bit early there to the final hairpin. So probably compromising his time just a little bit, but we'll see what he can do to improve on 19th overall so far. Hard on the brakes into the final chicane. That is a good line through there. And well, the suspension really gets a workout over these curves. Let's see then. Across the line he'll come. 32.9 to beat. 32.2. That's more like it for Tyson. Unfortunately, it only gains him 1 spot there. And we'll put him ahead of Kyle Booth into 18th place.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just see it tightening up there. So around 5 minutes left on the clock. So haven't seen too many people come in for tyres. I might have to ask Jay for that to see who else has come in there. Still Bo, but they were in 2nd place. Definitely cannot be too stressed out about that to be on the front row there as well, because you can see almost a bit like a piano accordion when they start off on the first lap there. So you really kind of want to be at the start, because it's almost when you're those cars through the middle of the pack there, it's almost you're come to a standstill. So definitely want to be.
Absolutely. Well, interesting strategy from the drivers in the second group. We saw that the top two of Hayden Veld and Javin Wood in Group 1 did not take tyres over their runs, but everyone except for Benjamin Johnson and Tyson Hanma has come in for fresh tyres, and they're definitely working to Bo Albert's benefit here. He's gone purple in the first sector, so he is looking mighty quick. We could see him overtake Matthew Bowler for provisional pole position here in the 15th round of the AOG Porsche Cup at Zolder. Nice straight exit, use the curbs, just try and get as straight a run as possible onto the run towards the final chicane. What can the Altus Esports driver, championship leader, do here? Out of the final corner he comes, and towards the line. 132.2 to beat, 130.0 is the fastest time, but unfortunately that lap hasn't quite come together for Bo Albert in the final sectors, losing out a bit versus Matthew Bowler, but he'll have to look out in Sector 1. Let's see what Bowler can do to improve on his time meanwhile. Looks to me like, yeah, he's not going for the pits this time. Another fresh set of tyres out there for the number 12, who's come in leaps and bounds in competitiveness over the course of 2022. We've seen him in many series, absolutely setting the timing screens alight. And have a look at that. Oh, that lap didn't count. That would have been fantastic to see if he had set a 129, but evidently not enough. Robbie Gibbs carrying some heavy damage, and that's straight on into the gravel trap at turn 1. Albert, meanwhile, backing off here. He's going to let Joshua Van Treek go. Josh is into 9th overall at the moment, so qualifying is going well for him. There's a time from Cameron Dance up to P4. So he's managed to get a fresh car there. Was carrying that damage to the front right. Not going to improve on this lap. He's had to make way for a car coming out of the pits, but I'd say he'd be satisfied with 4th overall so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So we didn't really see too much of Robbie Gibbs, but obviously having a few troubles here and there, knocking his car around. Sebastian Flock, we haven't seen too much there, but we have seen a 130.812, so that has put him up in another position there, around about that 8th place. So doing pretty well there inside that top 10.
Flock, one of the drivers, also doing well, but look at the damage that he's picked up to the front right there. That would undoubtedly be through the first chicane that'll be coming up very shortly. As he makes his way through turn 4, probably not too happy with that exit, and you can see that there's a lot of gravel being dumped onto the racetrack from drivers running off. Hayden Sell, meanwhile, the 9.5 SimSport driver. Oh dear, that is an issue there. It looked like one of his teammates going for a bit of a spin, and Sell looks like is abandoning that run as well. Simon Mazzomo, yeah, that was the driver involved. Mazzomo going to 9.5 SimSport after changing teams a couple of times this year, and we'll see if he can improve. He doesn't have to worry too much though. He's a couple of tenths ahead of his Pro-Am Championship rival Tyson Broad, currently in 11th. But either way, those guys have been racing each other very closely over the course of the season, so hopefully that continues here.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is good. Simon really needing to focus on the end of the championship. You can actually see the live points here at the moment. So very, hopefully pretty confident that he's going to finish nice and strong. I've definitely got a lot of faith in him there. It's been great seeing that battle that he's had throughout really the whole season. So good work for Mez. It's these Porsches are not easy to get your head around. So he's done absolutely, yeah, such an incredible effort.
Indeed. Well, if Matthew Bowler can hold on to this pole position, he'll gain 10 points on Bo Albert in the driver's standings. A very minute change for them there up the top. It's going to be difficult for him to overcome Bo Albert in the final salvo of rounds, but still showing his pace, showing his talent at this very tight and twisty Belgian track. Checkered flag flies in the qualifying session. we're not running the heat format here tonight. And there's a demonstration of pit entry from Matthew Bowler. We're not running the heat format tonight, so if you start a lap before the timer hits 0, you will be able to complete it this time. It's only a single race. It looks like Dance abandoning that final run for Orbit Motorsport at the final hurdle. Not too happy with that. So, still a few drivers left to set their times. Thomas Hinz coming out of the final couple corners. He'll be hoping that this is an improvement for him. The top 2 have been secured. Hinz, Capel, and Sell, with Broad still out on track. Thomas Hinz to a woman at 30.9. That's 0.2 off his fastest. Flock, though, committing to the end of the lap, shortening the run to the line. 1 minute 30.8 there. And unfortunately, that is 0.07 of a second off his fastest. Capel into the pits, and it looks like Tyson Broad will be the last driver we focus on for Drop Bear and Cosi. Drop Bear usually running red cars, but throughout the course of the year they've decided to adopt a majority blue livery thanks to their partnership with depression charity Beyond Blue. Really good to see causes like that being supported in sim racing. Is this going to be an improvement for Broad? Will he take that position from Simon Mazzomo? 131.4, and he only set that right at the end. It's not going to be an improvement for him. So, Nick, we can go through the grid now for this 60-minute race at Zolder. And on pole position, it's going to be Matthew Bowler with Bo Albert, championship leader, sharing the front row. The Pro-Am pole position goes to Lachlan Capel with Cameron Dance alongside him. Thomas Hinz and Hayden Sell will round out the top 6. Robbie Gibbs puts the 888 into 7th, starting alongside Evolution Racing Team's Sebastian Flock. And then we've got Mazzomo and Van Treek sharing row 5. The top 12 rounded out by Tyson Broad and Dylan Shepherd.
Absolutely there. So we do have Hayden Veld, Ben Johnson there, Jarvin Wood, Nicholas Garrich there. So I do believe he's actually, I think it's between him and Jarvin Wood that are leaders there of the AM class. So that'll be great battle between those two. Absolutely battled it all season there. Hamish Scott, Tyson Hamner there on row 9. And then we're going to go to the next one there of Kyle Booth, Dan Stevens and Matt Kidd. Sorry, I think I did believe I missed there Hamish Scott as well. So nice big field here tonight. I'm sure we're going to see plenty of action there, Reese.
That we are. The timer rapidly ticking down here. It's going to be a standing start for this 60-minute race. It's difficult to get the cars off the line, and as you can see, there's a lot of space between the lines of cars, but in terms of rows, well, it is very tightly packed. So if a driver stalls on the grid, you're not going to have much time to react. Reminder of the format, 60 minutes. Fuel is expected to last 40 to 43 minutes. That's around 28 laps here around Zolder, unless there is a safety car. But other than that, you're not required to come into the pits. Drivers expected to make one pit stop and one pit stop only here tonight. The last time we ran a 60-minute race in this series was back at Virginia International Raceway a few months ago. So the drivers will hopefully be getting used to this format now. The revs will rise. And what kind of start can Matthew Bowler get on Bo Albert as the lights go out? And we are away. That's a much better start there from Bo Albert. Thomas Hinz with a slow getaway. Looks like Robbie Gibbs getting right past him there and trying to line up Hayden Sell as well. But Albert takes the lead into turn 1. It's a spin, meanwhile, for Lachlan Capel. Almost a spin. Big slide. He's lost a couple of places overall out of that. Cameron Dance wasting no time taking advantage to that. He has moved up into 3rd. Wow. Sebastian Flock.
Whoa, and there's actually been a contact there. That's there, car 84 there. Sebastian Flock. So, yeah, Lachlan Capel potentially maybe with a penalty there. So, an absolute disaster start there for the Drop Bear car. They did excellent. They're getting all the way up in, I think it was 3rd. Started from 3rd. So, he's all the way down the line and potentially even further. So, and not to forget, had a few incidents there. We did have that start line incident there. Nicholas Garrich, though, well off the track. Tyson Hamner as well. So, yeah, we're just seeing a few having a bit of bad luck too. It's not a sprint race. So once you start, that's it. This is the solo endurance race, and there's no coming back from this.
Yeah, so I think we have a bit to dissect here, as that's a problem for Dance coming out of the final hairpin, loses third overall, back to Robert Gibbs, who's already picked up some damage through the first chicane. But have a look at that battle for the top two. Matthew Bowler is right on the tail of Bo Albert as they complete the first lap here. Wow. Okay, so Kyle Booth has gained the most positions on lap 1. He's up 7 spots and into 12th overall. We're hearing news of a meatball flag for Hayden Veld. That is a mechanical black flag, so the car is too damaged to continue racing. He has to come in and repair that, but given the fuel tank restriction, I don't know if he'll be able to get the fuel to complete the race to the end. Let's get a couple of replays here thanks to Virtual Racing School. And yeah, oh, Mazomo just didn't get off the line. That caused a huge start line smash. Car 27 of Tyson Broad involved in that too. We check out the 018 of Lachlan Capel going for a big fat slide. And then there's the, I don't know if this is contact between himself and Flock. You'll see blinking out of existence for a moment is, or on my end at least, was Lachlan Capel. But Sebastian Flock, it looked like he lost the rear on his own. I'm not too sure. We'll keep an eye out here between Garriich and Hanma, because you see this on the outside into the chicane. Hanma goes for it, but he goes across the curbs and then goes straight into Garriich.
Yeah, you'd have to say, gee, Garriich was pretty dirty on that. Oh, as we just see another car there. Well in the sand there, so we actually have no further action at the moment between Tyson Broad and Simon Mazomo. So, did actually see, it looked like Mazomo had kind of pulled to the left to try and get out of the way there, but with the car underneath him, so I'm sure he'll be a bit bummed out with that start. Someone, though, quite the opposite, Bo, but with a great start there. We got it straight off the line, and he's almost been more or less untouchable on the first couple of laps, so it's going to be a lot of work there by Matthew Bowler to try and get back around him.
Have a look at this fight for 11th, meanwhile. Simon Mazomo, of course, recovering from stalling off the line and unfortunately picking up some damage to his front bumper as well for all that. He's got Javon Wood and Kyle Booth right behind him. All of these drivers will be looking to recover places over the course of this 60 minutes, of which 56 remains. And oh dear, goodness. Kyle Booth getting massively crossed up on the way into that chicane. He's picked up a bit more damage to his bumper there, clobbering the curbs something fierce. That'll bring him back into the clutches of the battle for 14th, headed up by Daniel Stevens with the recovering Sebastian Flock and Hamish Scott with him as well. On board with Flock, compromised line for Stevens through Turleman, and Flock thinks, oh, okay, might have a run up the inside here. No, Stevens though, sent offline, and Flock could use this to make a pass. Remember, Stevens still getting used to his new rig, a track racer, TR160 Mark IV, gives the room to Sebastian Flock, and Seb is back up into 14th place now.
Yeah, absolutely. So not only is he trying to get used to the rig, but as well, coming in later in the season, he's still trying to get his head around these Porsche cars there, but doing an excellent job. Definitely learning the ropes as he goes. Fastest lap there at the moment there from Robbie Gibbs. So Gibbs actually on quite a blind now. So did not have the qualifying result that he would have liked. I think he was all the way down, starting in 7th place. So he's up 4 positions into 3rd here at the moment. We are on a VRS replay here at the moment, looking at Tyson Hadno.
Yep, problem for him out of the final chicane. Did he overshoot it and get over the curb? Yeah, the car looked a bit unstable there and just a big old spin. So out he comes, and he's fallen back to 19th place, unfortunately. So plenty of work to do. The driver of the number 18, Tyson Broad, meanwhile making up a place on Nicholas Garriich. But we're looking at the battle for 6th here. Sell, Hins and Shepherd all in a line, and Hins here losing 2 spots off the start with the slightly slow getaway, so he'll be looking to recover as much as possible. We're already seeing drivers separating into their little groups of 2, sometimes 3 or 4 cars. Now let's see what Hins can do to try and line up a move on Hayden Sell, who is still in the position he started in, 6th. Shepherd making up 4 spots. He started in 12th. And we see his results from the previous round he completed at Donington Park, 13th and 23rd. Shepherd very strong in the first race of a night, but unfortunately things not going his way there. With him now in the top 10, he'll be looking very good for a potential good position here. But currently second, I believe, in the Pro-Am standings, as in the Pro-Am results, sorry, as there are the standings on the right-hand side. Mazzomo will still be leading from Tyson Gord. Those issues that Gord has faced has cost him about 40 more points.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed to be a bit of a level playing field, you'd have to say, for almost both of them having issues there at the start, so it hasn't really given any person a little bit of a leg up. We're actually just seeing through race control as well, so we're actually there between Tyson Hammer and Nicholas Garrich there, so great work there by race control, having to quickly get through these as quickly and accurately as they can, so no penalties given out so far, Reece.
Yeah, seems that way. I mean, you could say, yeah, it was a racing incident between Hanma and Garriich, with Hanma going out over the curb, though you could make the argument that he could have yielded the position on the way in. News from race control. They made that decision due to the incident looking to have been quite self-penalising for Tyson Hanma. So effectively, with the spin that he suffered, he already had suffered enough, and so no impetus for a further penalty from race control. Car 018, Lachlan Capel trying to get back past Cameron Dance here, and Capel started his night really well with that great qualifying lap, but it hasn't quite gone his way in the race so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, always seem to have an ongoing thing here with AOG. Check how hard they hit the curbs there as well. You can see that slightly bent front end, but yeah, it seems that the fortunes are always really split though. To have a look at some of the cars that are still going pretty consistent. So the likes there, Hayden Veld, I think Cameron Dance as well has been quite consistent. So Cameron Dance doing really, really well there, all the way up in 4th place. So he hasn't just taken a few positions here and there. He's just casually chipping away and always taking on those points that are on offer.
Yeah, indeed. Well, plenty of points on pay here for Lachlan Capel as well, if he can get this done on Cameron Dance coming into the first turn side by side, but Dance still ahead at the turning point. He can cover that off, and we'll have the inside line for turn 2, so the defense will continue. You mentioned you can take a lot of this curb on the exit here, but you see just how rough the curb is on the outside there. If you hit that wrong, and oh dear, if you hit the turn in for turn 3 wrong, you'll do what Lachlan Capel did and just take a quick trip through the grass. Everyone's dipping wheels off at the moment. Another replay, and we'll see what went on here for Hamish Scott. Something went wrong for him. Oh goodness, that's not going to be good for Nicholas Garriich. He's already been hit twice now in this race, and well, I think Hamish Scott will be none too happy with himself for this. Just overshot the braking zone, lock up on the way in potentially, and just straight on into the back bumper of the AM Championship leader, who is having a torrid race at the moment. Now back to 19.
Yeah, so almost at the start, he kept talking about how much he's just head and shoulders above the rest, so it's definitely going to level that out. I don't think he'll drop too many positions down there, but he does have such a strong hold on the AM Championship at the moment, doing really shows how much consistency and how much he's really been pushing there. So we are actually having a look here at our car number 6, Cameron Dance there with Lachlan Capel. Dance not really wanting to give it up there at the moment, so he's defending quite well. He's going to have the inside line around through those next few corners.
Oh, Okay, well, Lachlan Capel sees the door open and thinks, okay, mate, I'm going to try out the inside here. No, not able to. That was almost a carbon copy in the first couple of turns of the previous lap, and they both run off there, coming out of turn 5. Wow, that's really costing them. It's brought Sell, Hins, and Shepherd, that trio, for 6th place, right into the midst of this battle now. It's a 5-car train for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just see this group now really starting to bunch up. See what is going to happen here as well. So you must know that those technical chicanes, or generally the time, they all stay around 3/10 from each other, but they really bunch up through those slow corners.
Well, on board here with Hayden Sell, and if Dance and Capel keep battling like they are, these guys could be looking at a really good position in this race. Capel, as you mentioned, Nick, is having a lot of trouble finding his way past Cam, who's picked up, once again, a little bit of damage on the front right. That the high curves of that first chicane not doing the drivers any favours here tonight. Capel not able to get alongside into turn 1 this time, so he'll have to wait a moment. Dance unperturbed there through the first corner. Looks like a cloud has fallen over the circuit. The air temperature still at 32 and the track at 33 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty hot and scorching conditions out there in virtual Belgium. And it seems that Dance is not letting that get to him any, as they'll continue as they are. But again, Lachlan Capel not having the best connections, so that might not inspire much confidence in his rivals, as that's why Dance got that damage, just taking way too much curb in the second part of the chicane. That's going to allow Capel potentially up the inside into Turleman. Nope, he's going to back out of it. It's a pretty narrow circuit here at Zolder, unless you're on the start-finish straighter in the first couple of turns.
Yeah, absolutely. So almost you would have thought Capel's connectivity might have been that issue there that we did have on lap 1, but you could just see all 4 wheels are well and truly off the track, so definitely not the fastest when your wheels are in the air like that.
No, certainly not. The battle continues further back here. Benjamin Johnson trying to hold off Joshua Van Treek. Not close enough to get the move done. And they got Simon Mazzomo very quickly rounding them up here. Mazzomo suffered a bit of damage to the rear and to the front. But we shall see how things work out for Mazzomo. He's still looking pretty quick here versus these drivers. His last lap was 1 minute 32.0. Gained 2/10 on Van Treek and 6/10 on Benjamin Johnson. Also got some news from Race Control about that incident between Hamish Scott and Nicholas Garriott. Scott has been given a 5-second time penalty for that contact. The redress was noted by Race Control, so Scott did give the position back, but the incident appears to have resulted in damage that had a lasting effect on Garriott's car. So that's why they've given him that particular penalty.
Yeah, absolutely there. So seeing, we probably almost thought that Race Control might have been going super easy there, but keeping it pretty fair. So all that occurring on lap 6, so it is going to keep blowing our timing apart a little bit. Definitely some of the big losers that we've seen so far is...
Capel. There we go. Lachlan Capel now by Cameron Dance with a move at the final hairpin. And tell you what, that fighting has really brought Selhins and Shepherd into it. I said it was a 5-car train before. Well, now it's 110% true. Lachlan Capel back up into 4th and holding on to the Pro-Am class lead here. And Hins trying to look up the inside there of Hayden Sell. Locks up on the way into turn 1, but he's going to complete the move.
Yeah, I think he almost put his foot straight through that firewall there. It's really heavy on the brakes, so he did pull it up just in time there not to run too wide. So it's actually created a bit of a gap there between Hins there and Cameron Dance, but I'm sure that these three will be able to possibly just work a little bit together there and latch back onto the back there of Cameron Dance.
Now Dance might fancy a move back past Cable if he can nail these next few corners. They all make it through the chicane nice and cleanly. There's basically two battles going on track at the moment. This one you're looking at now, and then the three-car battle further back for ninth. Bo Albert has put down some fantastic times here, and he's consistently running a few tenths faster than Matthew Bowler every single lap. He's in clear air in the lead, so things are working out nicely for the Altus driver. Hins, it was almost a defensive line, but really that's more or less the racing line on the way into the final hairpin, so I don't think he's under much trouble there from Hayden Veld. Van Treek and Mazomo meanwhile trading places. It looks like Mazomo went for the move on Van Treek, not successful in doing so. So Van Treek will move back in, but Mazomo trying to go up the inside of the final chicane. I don't know if he can pull this off. No, he certainly can't. And they move sprawled, spread eagle across the racetrack. Who knows, that might be a slight penalty from race control for Simon Mazomo. Very difficult night for him so far, and it's only gotten more so thanks to this.
Yeah, it's almost a real round to forget here, so we haven't seen really anyone coming to the pits yet. I have to say, Reese, can't be too far off that pit window. Maybe potentially, or yeah, as you can see in that replay, just not working out there, but thankfully on a very slow part of the track, so hopefully they haven't taken on too much damage. We are looking at it from another angle here. Just, oh, yeah, two cars going for that very same piece of road, so I'm sure Daniel's going to have a bit of a look there and see what his verdict is on that.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, I highlighted before just how narrow this track is, and that's where it becomes a real big issue into that final chicane. If you're trying to get alongside a car into the final couple of corners, then there's not much the driver on the outside can do without going off track to give you the reasonable amount of room. Top three there, Albert, Bowler and Gibbs, covered by 3.5 seconds, and then we have this battle for fourth. Cable, Dance, Hins, Sell and Shepherd on board here with Dylan Shepherd, racing as a privateer, but works as a mechanic and a race engineer in the real world. Let's see then what he can do through turn one. Narrow turn in, and he hooks up the exit nicely. I don't think Hayden Sell is too interested in trying to give that position up just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But you have to say though, Hayden Sell doing it not too bad there, maintaining in that 7th position there. So between him and Tom Hins, a little bit up further all the way. Seeing quite a few cars there, so we're just actually seeing there over the radio. So we're actually seeing a redress with car 97.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, so Joshua Van Treek there and Mazomo. So redress there, so I'm sure that'll be nice and quick, and they'll be back on their way.
Yep, Mazomo's already done. So that now they are split by Sebastian Flock. So it's another position gained back there for Sebastian, up into 11th now. And with Mazomo carrying the amount of damage he is, I think it's unlikely he'll be able to get too much pace out of that until he comes into the pits. There's the confirmation of the decision from race control, and of course Mazomo, a man who plays by the rules, he has already gone and done that, so penalty cleared. Stevens and Scott meanwhile, Daniel making up 3 positions ahead of Hamish, who is down 1 now, but Hamish trying his best here to work his way up the inside of Mr. New Rig, Daniel Stevens. We'll see what the exit is like from this back half of the circuit. Quite interesting, the history of this track. Zolder originally opened as a much shorter circuit that used some of this section up the back half of the track. It was called the Omloop van Terlemen because there was a man who had the last name of Terlemen who owned the land that the Automobile Club opened the circuit on. It started as mostly purpose-built circuit, but I think used a couple of public roads in there as well. This first sector of the lap was penned by the great track designer John Hugenholtz, and then the track became what it is today. Now, speaking of the strategy that drivers are going to be running. We are well past the end of lap 12 now. Drivers are on their 14th lap as there goes Shepard up the inside of Cell. And it looks like that move is going to be successful. Cell didn't fight that one too hard, but the pit window is officially open now, Nick. Drivers will be able to make it home, barring any safety car interventions, from here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so move not quite done here for Shepard versus Cell. Oh dear, contact down the front stretch. I don't think Cell's... Oh dear, no, naughty. I don't think you're allowed to block like that on the way into the braking zone. Probably some miscommunication between the drivers involved in that, but Shepard will need to take a bit more care there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially getting caught red-handed on the live feed, so potentially end up with a redress or a 5-second penalty there, but look to be getting pretty heated there between those two, you'd have to say there, Reese.
Yeah, quite spicy. So we'll check that out on the replay. So the move was made here by Dylan Shepard. Now, was there contact here? No, it was a fairly by-the-book move up the inside, out-braking done, and then Hayden Cell yields the position, but then you'll see that Shepard, I think, makes a mistake on the way into this final chicane. Yeah, a lot of space given between the drivers there, but Shepard just... Oh, okay. So Cell was getting in there at racing speed and ended up making contact with Shepard, who slightly overshot the chicane and had to slow up, but then moves over. And you'll see when they get on the brakes here, Shepard, oh yeah, he moves to cover right before the braking zone. You're definitely not allowed to do that.
Yeah, you could potentially get a bit of a spanking for that, so I'm sure race control will have a bit of a look and see what's going on. Next time over the line though, a little bit more subdued, so I have to see, just so wide taking it into that first corner though, but we are looking here at Lachlan Capel, Cameron Dance doing a really good defence job. You'd have to say they're potentially there with a little bit of a top speed deficit between two cars around him there with that damaged front bumper.
Indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, this has really benefited Thomas Hins with all that palaver between Shepard and Cell. Hins has been able to stay in touch with Capel and Dance and could be looking at a top 5 spot coming up here. We'll have to see what Hins can do here to take advantage, because there hasn't been much in the way of out-and-out battling between Capel and Dance, and we've already seen quite a few times, Nick, that when drivers are running side by side, when they're going for moves, they cost each other bulk time. So I think Cameron Dance is just wanting to bide his time here. He doesn't want to make a move on Capel because both of them could stand losing a place to Hins.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, just seeing again there, sitting in pretty tight. I almost thought the car in behind Cameron Dance there, so Thomas Hins was going to even potentially sneak a bit of a look there, but maybe it might be worth just sitting in for the moment, get this get these tyres changed, this fuel topped up as well. So there was a warning actually handed out to Dylan Shepard for that, so he's on camera here at the moment.
Yep, race control quick on the mark there, and just giving Dylan Shepard a little warning, finger wag, don't do that again. Looking towards the front fight here, have a look at that. Matthew Bowler gaining a bit of time on Bo Albert over the last couple of laps. The gap for the race lead has effectively halved here, so I think Albert, it might be a combination of just backing off now that he's in a rhythm and the occasional mistake, because I did check back through his last couple of laps, and wow, have a look at that on lap 15. Bowler gained 3/10 on him. So Shepard, I did notice, went over the curb at the first chicane, so that would have cost him a little bit of time. Bowler, though, is starting to lose out again. You can see that the gap has increased to about 9/10 of a second, whereas it was 8/10 last time we looked. And there's our first regular pit stop of the session. Kyle Booth making his way through the lane and will come back out in 20th spot. Hayden Veld has already visited the pits once this race, but that was to get the car repaired after a mechanical black flag. Oh dear. Lachlan, Thomas Hinz and Cameron Dance. Ah, there we go. That's why. Thomas Hinz making his way into the pits. But didn't look like there was much of an incident between Capel and Dance. Joshua Van Treek, meanwhile, trying to find a way back past Simon Mazzomo here. Looks to me like that was a move by the 551, or potentially a mistake. Mazzomo already behind, and does he go for the move here? No, he doesn't, but Van Treek running very deep into the hairpin, and so that briefly put him in danger. However, his drivers have already come together once. Mazzomo going defensive into the chicane, and Van Treek deciding, okay, I'm just going to bide my time. Another pit stop, meanwhile. Thomas Hinz has pitted the number 52 from 6th and has come out in 14th place. We see Hamish Scott in the lane as well, and I'm wondering whether there'll be a 5-second time penalty added to the stop, or whether or not that penalty for Scott will be added on to his race time. Not too sure, but we'll have to see. In terms of pit stops, about 12 seconds, it looks like, to put the amount of fuel in to complete the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be able to already seen a few cars here at the moment. So Hamish Spot there in the lane at the moment. Kyle Booth has been there as well. So only a few cars here. Almost trying to really work out where the delta is, and we have seen there Thomas Hinz being one of the cars furthest up the order there. Go through the pits. That is Kyle. I think that is Kyle Booth actually coming out there now. So back on track. Oh, Hamish Scott there. Sorry, Cameron Dance. Bit of a wiper there, all the way down the back. Cool little sunset there. It's yeah, starting to get pretty late. About 8:10 there. Time 8:10 here in Australia though at the moment would be very, very dark there. You'd have to say, Reese.
We'll confirm that the penalty for Hamish Scott will be added on at the end. We're not able to give penalties that are served at a pit stop, so we'll see where Hamish Scott ends up working himself out. That visit into the pits, it was 15 seconds for him, so it was a little bit slow compared to the other pit stops we've seen so far. It's put Hamish Scott a lap down. We'll get a replay here of, I believe, Capel and Dance, and this was through the chicane. What's going on here for Cam? Oh, wow, okay. Lots of curb usage there. No slowdown, though. Really gives you a sense for how much the suspension goes through.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely munching on a few curbs here at the moment. Nicholas Garage definitely with a round to forget. He's in the pits here at the moment, so no, he's had a few collisions here and there, so potentially maybe get some damage. Try and finish strong though, but seeing some of our other drivers here at the moment, so really Matthew Bowler not being able to make much of an impression here on the back of Bo Albert. Nice gap there, around about a second at the moment, so Bo Albert, a little bit of comfort. You can actually see just over the top of that crest, so a little bit of lap traffic, so could prove a bit of a challenge getting around. It is a very narrow track here at Zolder.
That lap traffic in question is Kyle Booth in 18th place, who only came out of the pits 2.8 laps ago. So we'll see what kind of pace he can get here as we wait to see what the leaders do in terms of pit strategy. There's a chance that they'll try and run the tank dry and make their stop at the latest available opportunity. They both get on the brakes nicely. But I'd be interested to see what kind of difference it'll make pitting a lap early versus a lap later, and whether or not tyres will be taken at the pit stop. I think we can expect that tyres would be taken because, despite them being quite a hard compound and not coming up to temperature particularly quickly, they don't last a whole hour, at least I don't believe so.
passing or just even as a bit of a mini endurance there, you do see that those lapses in concentration there. You did see Cameron Dance just drop a little bit into that dirt a bit. This was another big one as well. You kind of really drive the car out as wide as you can there on the back of that Drop Bear Motorsport. We actually just heard from race control that the air temperature has come down a little bit. Hopefully might be able to give a bit more grip there. So it has cooled down to a lovely 31 degrees, which is still super warm.
Well, one thing we should highlight is the incident limit. This is something that I was discussing with Jay before we went live, as the fact that off tracks are so easy to pick up here around Zolder, and there's an incident limit of 30 for this round before drivers are automatically given a drive-through penalty. Currently, the driver on the most incidents is Nicholas Garriott. He's got 20 incidents at the moment, and that's only in the first half hour of the race. So our AM Championship leader is going to have to take some care here as Robbie Gibbs makes his way into the lane. You see Fuel Bowsers there in the pit lane because there is a 12 and 24-hour race that happens at Zolder every so often, so they sometimes need those extra Fuel Bowsers. Gibbs into the lane, and he was running quite well in third, just solo there, as there wasn't much he could do versus Bo Albert and Matthew Bowler. Pit stop will be completed as we check out a replay here for Hayden Veld behind Dylan Shepherd. And is this an overshoot of the final chicane? It is indeed. Just takes a little bit of a trip through the sand pit. Unfortunately, no sandcastles being built there that time around.
I just want to say there, not only those 24-hour races as well, but the Cyclocross World Championships are also held at Zolder, so if you're a bit of a cycling fan like myself, that's another one as well. Seeing, that is one of the Drop Bear cars around the back of the circuit. Just trying to pick out who that is. I think that is Robbie Gibbs on such a lonely drive there. He's got cars way up ahead, way behind. He's had his pit stop and back out on his own again. So maybe not the worst thing in the world, as we've seen some of the cars colliding with each other. There's also a motocross. Thank you, Joe. There's also a motocross track out there as well. So anything with wheels, you'd see it there at Zolder.
Hayden Veld coming in for a second visit to the pits, of course, with his end of lap 1 pit stop to clear that mechanical black flag. He wouldn't have had enough fuel put in to really make it to the end, so he's had to come in and top up the tank once more. Shame for Hayden Veld. Would have been running solidly in the midfield were it not for that lap 1 incident where he went straight into the back of Tyson Broad and Simon Mazzomo when Mazzomo had his slow getaway. Gap for the lead is coming back down again. Bo Albert now picking up some damage on his front right bumper, and I think it's the same more or less for Matthew Bowler, though I could be wrong. Actually, looking at that angle, it doesn't look like Bowler had much damage. Tyson Broad, speaking of, he is in the lane himself. Coming in from a midfield spot. Slowest pit stop of the night it was for Robert Gibbs. 16.4 seconds. This is a battle that's been continuing to go on for some time. Lachlan Capel and Cameron Dance, the fight for fourth on corrected positions here. They haven't come in for a stop yet. The entirety of the top 11, plus Tyson Hanmer in 14th and Daniel Stevens in 16th, have yet to come into the lane.
Absolutely. I'm sure that they're just trying to pick their perfect time to get it all done there. So are a little bit split actually. If you look at the lane between Robbie Gibbs there at 47 seconds there, so actually had even Tyson Broad was a bit fast there at 41.7. So definitely one of the slower ones. I think Hamish Scott was almost 49 seconds. So there's a big disparity with a few of these. Yeah, with a few of these stops. So hopefully it's not going to cost too many people. Just spot there, we have Lachlan Capel again having that flickering, so that could net him a warning potentially if he doesn't get it sorted out.
Hayden Veld into the lane then for his one and only pit stop from about 6th place on track at the moment. His teammate Simon Mazzomo staying out of the lane for a couple more laps, and I don't think there's a single clean car out there, minus probably Matthew Bowler. Actually, it looks like he does have a little damage to his front right, so I'll correct that. Pretty much not a single car out there with a completely clean body. There's quite a few dints and dents out there, thanks to just how heavily they've been using these curbs and absolutely sending it over those bumps. Down to 0.4 of a second, 0.3 of a second, the battle for the lead. Bowler is starting to catch Albert back up here as the fuel comes down.
Yeah, absolutely. So, clock ticking away there at the moment. We're almost going to be under that 20-minute mark, so this solo enduro is going to very much come to a close, and you are right. You just see almost all these Porsches having that very similar damage there to the front bumper. At the moment there, Cameron Dance just not close enough there for Lachlan at the moment. So, but these two have had quite a good run there together, so you can just see, Cable all the road there at the moment. Cameron Dance holding his line a little bit tighter.
Just a little bit. Once these guys come into the pits, it'll be interesting to see where the battle pans out, because there's potential for an undercut if you pit before your rival. But thing is, for Cameron Dance, with the way the pit entry is here at Zolder, he's going to have to cost himself some time. Otherwise, he risks running into Cable when they come into the lane. Change for position. Kyle Booth getting past Daniel Stevens. Stevens made a mistake out of that very corner that we just saw Cable and Dance go through. So Kyle Booth by without too much of an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually did see, I think that is a retirement there from Hayden Veld, so
it is.
Had to pull up stunts. Pull up stumps. It's not had the most positive round here, as we just see. I think that was Daniel Stevens there off in the pit. So you'd have to say that Hayden Veld in the pits there for about 4 minutes. So he's definitely is going to be well and truly a lap down, possibly a couple of laps down. So just choosing to be out of harm's way.
Yep, seems that way. It's all track time though. It's all getting used to the new rig for Daniel Stevens. The lead fight continuing to go on, and Matthew Bowler was the fastest car on track last time by a 10th faster than Bo Albert, and really lining up the championship leader at the moment and keeping it clean over those curbs too. So it's going to be an intriguing fight for the win here at Zolder. I'm looking forward to when these guys come into the pits. Speaking of guys coming into the pits, Mazomo is in and Javin Wood is in. Wood continuing to try and work his way up. He's up 3 spots at the moment, but he might stand to lose a couple of those when he comes to a standstill in his box. Mazomo, see what he can do here. Pitted ahead of Joshua Van Tree. Battle for around a top 10 spot. And looking at pit stop times, Mazomo completing his pit service in 14.3 seconds, Jack in 13.9 seconds. Panma is also in the lane as well, just entered behind these guys as Wood makes his way up.
It's almost that blend line too is a bit tricky. Shouldn't be too bad here with the Porsches there, but actually throws you out onto the inside of the corner there, as we just saw there. As demonstrated, thankfully, the traffic was not too bad. We do see our points there up the side as well. All sitting pretty strong here at the moment. Cameron Dance just chipping away. He actually has gotten around Lachlan Cable, so it's a good little overtake. He's actually some way up the road there, so possibly...
No, he's lost a heap of ground actually. He's way behind Lachlan Cable. And it happened at the final chicane. Oh, just lost the rear on the way into the last chicane. Very unfortunate there for Dance. I'll get it on board with him on the brakes, and the rear end's like, no, thank you. Yeah, meanwhile, Dylan Shepherd has come out of the pits. He's completed his pit stop. He's going to rejoin in 10th.
Yeah, so great work there. You actually see Bowler has actually managed to pull quite a bit of time there. And then, yep.
Oh, both of them pit at the same time.
Yeah, right on schedule there. So, be great to watch there and see if you can kind of get out a bit early, whether or not Bowler's been able to at least ride off the throttle a little bit. Maybe if he conserved a bit of fuel, if you could save half a second in the pits or so, it might actually put him out there in front of Bo Albert.
Capel pits as well. Cameron Dance stays out. He'll try to go a couple more laps here, at the very least, to try and gain some track position on Lachlan Capel. Meanwhile, our leaders come into the lane, and it looks like repairs done for both cars. Who gets the quickest stop? Also coming into the pits is Benjamin Johnson and Sebastian Flock. It looks like Albert's gotten the better stop there out of our leaders, and he will re-emerge in the effective race lead. Matthew Bowler with the exact same pit stop time. Unfortunately, he was about 0.6 slower on transit time, so he has lost out a bit more to Bo Albert. He's now 1.1 seconds back.
Absolutely there. So, yeah, Bowler, you'd have to really try and put in all that work again, so you could see that he was almost really within around 0.2 there of Bo Albert a little bit earlier before. But seeing these two teammates as well there, Robbie Gibbs and Lachlan Cable, so seeing Robbie have to push a really all the way from the back there, but he's actually done an excellent job there. Getting very close into his teammate of Lachlan Cable.
Yeah, but a nice good run from the driver of the 888. You can always count on Gibbs to try and work his way forward in race sessions. You can say the same for Cameron Dance as well, who was the last car remaining to make a pit stop, but he is now in the lane. And we'll see what he can do to try and overcome Joshua Van Treek and try and get himself back into maybe about 12th position, maybe 11th, depending on what happens to drivers ahead. Dance started 4th. He's had quite a bit of difficulty here tonight. The leaders come by, and it looks to me like Bo Albert continuing to lead this race, but not by the biggest of amounts. Matthew Bowler has already taken about 0.4 of a second out of him on those pretty fresh tyres and a nice new load of fuel, getting it done. Dance is coming back out, and it looks like he's going to come out behind Lachlan Capel once again. Sorry, I called out the wrong position there earlier. I thought Cameron Dance was a bit lower down than he was, but still fighting with Capel for 4th place. Now, he's come out a bit behind, but he looks a bit closer than he did the last time we saw him. Oh, did I see a car spinning in the background there? Yes, I did. Nicholas Garriott, unfortunately, and it looks like the 227 of Hamish Scott involved in that as well. That's the second time that these drivers have come together in this race.
Yeah, we actually haven't seen Scott move yet, so he's just going to end up with a potential safety car. Oh, let's see.
No contact. That was actually a separate incident. Garriott's lost it beforehand.
Yeah, Garage there up to 28 incident points as well, so having all kinds of dramas there, or maybe, yeah, caught the grass and you just see the wiggle one way and then the wiggle the other, and then it's all over. You could actually see that sympathy spin there off into your top right, so.
Well, no need for a safety car as of yet. Both drivers have managed to get it going again. Except for Hamish Scott. He's gone off and into the pits now, so I suspect that's a retirement there for Hamish. Real shame. It looks like he's disconnected from the session as well. Joshua Van Treek, meanwhile, has just been passed by Tyson Broad. And we might be seeing... Oh, hello. There's Cameron Dance getting up the inside of Lachlan Capel. Oh, no! Just as he does that, loses the rear. Doesn't look like there was contact there, at least from that angle. We'll have to take another look at that because, wow, for a moment, Cameron Dance was up into 4th, but now he could stand to lose even 5th place to Thomas Hines.
Yeah, surely Oh, gee, that would have to be a massive coincidence if that didn't involve any contact there. Or might have to have a
Oh,
look
yeah,
at
that's
the
a
other
helpful
angle.
It looks like Dance lost the rear on the inside before Capel made contact with him.
Might have to see if we can get an onboard there from the bonnet of Capel, and then that might give
Yeah.
us a real. Here we go.
All right, so he'll notice Dance coming up the right-hand side of him here. Dance makes the move, and yeah,
Oh, wow.
Dance had already lost it.
Gee, there, Capel getting by on the skin of his teeth. So not only not making contact, but very lucky to not get taken out himself. There's Dance, yeah, going in backwards. As we've seen, is just so familiar here at the moment here.
Yeah, well, let's see what Thomas Hinds can do to try and get by. And we said earlier that Hinds was on for a top 5 finish, and it looks like that's still the case here as the race enters its final 13 minutes. And Hinds with a nice exit out of turn 2. Still trying to round up Dance here. Squares off the entry to the corner, but Dance turned in earlier. That might compromise his exit a little. And making moves here at the chicane is definitely not easy or advisable, but Thomas Hinds will still have a little look up the inside to try and unsettle his Kiwi mate Cameron Dance. And they'll continue to be as close as they've ever been on the way down to Turleman. Unfortunately, we did touch on earlier the incident points for Nicholas Gariach. He has hit 30 incidents, so he's going to have to come into the pits for a drive-through. The next highest amount of incidents in the session is Hayden Veld. He's on 28, so he's in danger of picking up a penalty. And Cameron Dance, who's on screen at the moment, next worst at 19 incidents.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really got to try and keep it in between the lines there, and especially with these technical corners as well. It's a bit of a easier said than done. Yeah, Sebastian Clock up there with 19 points as well.
Yes, as well as Dylan Shepherd, so three-way tie for the third most amount of incidents in the session. The battle continues between Dance and Hinds for 5th, and the battle for the lead continues between Albert and Bowler. Albert has pulled out an ever so slight gap, but Matthew Bowler still keeping him under so much pressure here coming into the final moments of this race. Virtual Racing School replay, we'll see if there was an issue here for Hayden Veld, who had, I believe that's Benjamin Johnson behind him, and Johnson is now in front. And this is why Veld locking up into the final chicane, and once again having to cut the inside of the final corner. So that's unfortunate there for Hayden. He's currently a second behind Benjamin Johnson now and running in 9th. But Bo Albert and Matthew Bowler will be racing to the end here. It's been so good to see these guys so closely matched.
Yeah, absolutely. These two have been a class absolutely all season there. Bo almost goes into this every round there with a target on his back, so he's always done such a great defense there, and you can imagine just the amount of work that himself and Alta's put into having such a dominant run here in the championship. But it's not always, you look at the points and go, oh yeah, he's got it easy, but you see he does have to defend every race. It's not really him just pulling away from the back.
Thomas Hinds once again taking a little chunk of time out of Cameron Dance to the tune of about 0.07 of a second or thereabouts. Nicholas Gariach, meanwhile, has served his pit lane penalty for exceeding 30 incidents, and now he's currently the last car running on the circuit in 18th, a lap down with Daniel Stevens. That was a good exit from turn 5 from Thomas Hinds. And again, he has to look up the inside of Dance, but he's not far up enough to get it done into the chicane. And considering how quick that chicane is, definitely not advisable to try and move up the inside. We saw how that ended going side by side on lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. I think Dance has always kind of been in the thick of it the whole race. So if it hasn't been Lachlan Capel there, it is Thomas Hinds. So he's definitely had to work hard for the whole hour straight there as well. You just see Hinz just showing a bit of a nose there, so Dance forcing himself to defend on that one.
Hinz picking up a slight amount of damage thanks to curb usage, but they keep it stable into the final chicane. And you see that Hinz is very aggressive on the exit, isn't he? Just sliding the car a little bit on the way out as well, which sometimes you need to do in order to get those moves done. I think that's especially true for older race cars that run bias ply tyres. I'm racing in a league that uses those very old cars from the 1950s, and you do have to slide them through the corners if you want to go quick. Not so much in these cars though. A little bit of sliding is okay, but you can't afford to be going sideways on every single corner. Gibbs and Capel have started to come together here. Capel still holding on to the AM class lead at the moment in this race, so he can't afford to get too involved with his teammate.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always what they say there. Don't take your teammate out.
And don't take yourself out as well, because the next car in class is Dylan Shepherd down in 7th. If Gibbs and Capel come together, then yeah, Capel will stand a chance of losing the Pro-Am win here.
Yeah, absolutely. So Capel having to has been in the thick of it. Has had a little bit of luck though, thankfully, and hasn't taken too many people out. With some of the issues that he's been having there, gee, Hinz still all over the back there at the moment. So you have to say they're kind of what we mentioned before there, or having that typical lockup that we've seen a little bit already. But that's right. He's a bit of a wild card in this one, whereas Dance has a championship to look after. So,
yep, Hinz dropping back a little bit there. So there's now 5 two-car fights on track at the moment. There's the one for the lead. There's the one between Gibbs and Capel. There's Dance and Hinz. And there's also Flock and Sell here fighting over 9th and 10th. Coming up on Benjamin Johnson as well, so this is going to become a 3-car battle for 9th if things keep going as they are. Kyle Booth and Tyson Hanmer are still debating over 15th spot on track at the moment. Well, now let's see what this battle for 8th works out to, because Johnson has been keeping up some good pace, but Sebastian Flock looked particularly quick on the previous lap, took 4/10 out of Hayden Veld. Once the race starts getting to these latter stages, Sebastian Flock really looking strong. Here's a virtual racing school replay of an incident for Lachlan Capel potentially. He's dropped back a fair way from Robert Gibbs, and we're going to see the reason why here, coming into the tournament chicane, just way overshooting, locking up on the way in, having to take a trip through the gravel trap, and oh god, that was almost a case of teammates taking each other out, as you alluded to earlier, Nick.
yeah, absolutely. So it's kept it pointing relatively straight, thankfully. Oh, jeez, you can just see both the front wheels completely, completely locked up.
I can just imagine Robert Gibbs' eyes popping out of his head as he looked in his rearview mirror. Oh, there's been an issue. Hayden Veld coming into the pits there. That's a drive-through penalty for Hayden Veld because he has exceeded 30 incidents. So that takes him out of the battle for 8th with Johnson and Flock. The 2 drop bear cars for 3rd and 4th still very much together, but we'll see how Sell picked that up. Actually, we'll see what happened to bring the drop bear cars back together, because Robbie Gibbs himself made a mistake at the chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. So just seeing these two there have just been sitting in so tight. You actually also notice up just in behind Robbie Gibbs there. Oh, sorry, that is Lachlan Capel, that second car is Dance and Hinz. So even looking at those last laps, though, they are actually gaining on Capel and Robbie Gibbs. So the 2 drop bear cars are in the high 133s there, but both Hinz and Dance, so around that 132 mark. So over a second faster for both of them. You actually see this, he's going to end up being a 4-car train. You just see Cameron Dance there over the top of the hills. He's done an absolute stellar job reeling these two cars in.
4 minutes to go, and it could be a 4-way battle for the podium. I'm really looking forward to this. It's fantastic to see how the race ebbs and flows towards these final minutes. Capel and Gibbs, if they keep making mistakes like that, it's going to definitely bring Dance and Hins into the fold. Pretty strong battle for the top 5 already between those two long-time competitors of Dance and Hinsey, but things could definitely work out differently.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely notice. It'd be great to see Hinsey back for next year. It would be great to see where that would really put him here in the championship. He's just been so competitive and has really been able to pick up and go with it.
That he has. Well, very close here between Gibbs and Capel, and a slight error there for one of them. Trying to defend now side by side through this hairpin. That's not going to work out too well. Okay, they're going to keep it going here towards the final chicane. Easy, boys. You don't want to bring Dance and Hins into this too early. It's side by side between Drop Bear, Pro and Pro-Am. Oh, they're going to keep fighting over it in this contact. Lachlan Capel turns around, and Thomas Hins and Cameron Dance will be able to make their way past him. But man, that is some drama there at Drop Bear Motorsport.
Yeah, you can imagine. Dan is probably pulling his hair out right about now, seeing those two drivers go at it. We knew that it was not going to end. Yeah, I think we knew it was going to end in tears somehow. They just both are not really choosing to ease out of it. So it might be a bit of a quiet silence over the radio, or maybe they were laughing to each other there. Oh, geez, look how hard both our leaders here going over the curbs, though, not too long ago now, under that 2-minute mark.
Cameron Dance is now on 27 incidents, so that could be an issue for him in the last couple of minutes. But Matthew Bowler is continuing to pressure Bo Albert here for the race lead. And it's still not over between these two. Bowler trying his best to take those curbs well, but Albert is holding on beautifully.
Oh dear, just a bit of a look there from Bo Albert there, so you'd have to say this could be a masterclass here from Matthew Bowler. He must be feeling stronger there to be able to close that gap in. Looking a little bit further up the road there, we do have just that one lap traffic car, but I'm sure it's too much for those two to get through there. Gee, Capel almost going on about how great of a race he was having there, but he is behind Dylan Shepherd here at the moment. Dylan Shepherd kind of keeping it a bit cleaner here in the second half of the race.
Yep, trying his best, but it's almost all going to be over here for Matthew Bowler. Bo Albert leading by 0.6 of a second as they make their way into the Tolerman chicane, and then just a few more corners to go now for our championship leader. It's been a stellar drive from Bo Albert. He might have missed out on pole, but he very quickly took advantage on the first couple of laps and took the race lead. And now just 2 more corners to go, one single braking zone. The 06 will bring it through into the final couple corners. No pressure from Matthew Bowler. It's going to be Bo Albert who takes victory and extends his championship lead here in the AOG Porsche Cup. He wins the 60-minute Enduro at Zolder.
Yeah, what an absolute stellar drive. Bowler there for second, but gee, definitely thinking what could have been. We do see Cameron Dance here coming around the back here, so one more chicane to go. He'll be glad to see the end. So he's on 29 incident points here as well, so just got to keep it in between the on the black stuff for the very last part of the track.
Yeah, manages to get it done, and Dylan Shepherd will come home in 6th place, just ahead of Lachlan Capel there, who unfortunately came together with Robbie Gibbs at the final chicane. Oh my lord. What an intriguing race there. Always good to see the kind of racing that goes on in these very long races. Javin Wood, we believe, is leading the AM class, so he's going to take the AM class victory. Capel looks like is still going to... No, Capel loses the Pro-Am victory to Dylan Shepherd there, thanks to the coming together with Robert Gibbs. Javin Wood is going to come across the line here to win AM. He got pole position in the class and suffered his issues, as just about everyone did over the course of this race, but he'll be very happy with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Didn't see too much there of that car, so of that 369 car. Javin Wood in that Century Batteries livery. Do have the standings here though, Reese?
We do indeed. By 0.4 of a second, Bo Albert takes it over Matt Bowler. Robbie Gibbs in third. Thomas Hinz and Cameron Dance round out the top 5. With that late incident, Dylan Shepherd does indeed take the Pro-Am class victory from Lachlan Capel, with Ben Johnson rounding out the podium in that class. Sebastian Flock recovers to 9th place after the issues he suffered earlier, and Simon Mazzomo will round out the top 10.
Just outside the top 10 in there, Joshua Van Treek, Tyson Broad, Javin Wood, as we just did see there across the line, Hayden Veld, kind of almost our lone pro car down the order there, Kyle Booth, Tyson Hanmer, Dan Stevens there, 1 lap down with Tyson Hanmer, Nicholas Garrich there, 2 laps being our last car to go through, Hamish Scott and Hayden Veld not making the finish.
Unfortunate there for Hamish Scott and Hayden Veld. Unfortunately, retirements for the both of them, and Hamish Scott might get a further penalty from race control because he escaped and Alt F4'd without asking for a tow, which is the policy in this series. Well then, we'll wait for a couple of our drivers to come in for interviews, but before we do that, we want to highlight that there's been a slight change to the calendar for the AOG Porsche Cup. Oran Park has been removed. It's been replaced by Phillip Island, which has moved in the schedule, but the round 16 slot is going to be at the new Fuji Speedway circuit, which is new to the iRacing service, came in one of the last builds. A fantastic addition to iRacing, that one, and we'll be going to Japan, Nick. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Fuji's a bit of a tricky track there as well. Definitely one that people try and jump into. Really long corners there to make the most of the Porsche Aero, so I'm sure we'll see some good racing.
I'm sure we will too. Plenty of overtaking opportunities around Fuji, a Grade 1 circuit that hosted the Japanese Grand Prix in 2007 and 2008. It looks like we might not get an opportunity to talk to our drivers, so we'll bring in... Oh no, we've just seen them. Bo Albert and Matthew Bowler going in there. But very quickly, Dan Yeaman, organizer of this series. What can you tell us about the last 5 rounds?
Well, basically Fuji, after obviously got released at the start of season 3, most recent season, current season we're currently in. Obviously drivers really keen to look that one in to the calendar. So it's been a while since we put the poll up about it, but well and truly it was the runaway favourite to replace Oran Park on the schedule, and we will bring Fuji forward to the next round of the season, as you can see on screen thanks to the graphics from Jay. So indeed we will begin our final 5 rounds of the season, which sort of unofficially count as the Asia Pacific Tour with Fuji. Round 17 will then head to Motegi for the second track in Japan, and then we'll wrap up with 3 Australian tracks at Winton, Phillip Island and Sandown to conclude the full season as it is.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'll see how that goes with Fuji coming in for round 16 and Oran Park being replaced by the moving Phillip Island. That's Dan Yeaman, their series organizer at AOG. Thanks very much for joining us. Let's take a talk to our race victor, Bo Albert. Championship lead extended, Bo. You might have missed out on pole, but the race certainly went your way.
Yeah, absolutely. There was no chance in any way I was ever going to match that time from Bowler. So well done to him. He's had an awesome improvement across the season. So well done to him on getting pole. That was very well done. But yeah, in the race, I knew if I could, just keep the tires alive and just look after things a bit, then we'd have a chance of beating him. Didn't think it'd come quite that easy in terms of getting him off the line. But yeah, hey, look, we take it and extend the points lead.
You do indeed. Were there a couple of occasions there where you were backing off or otherwise making mistakes? Because we did see the gap ebb and flow quite a bit. It's a pretty difficult track here at Zolder.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very tricky track. I think for the most part, it was more just managing risk versus reward because in order to be very quick here, you need to just nail the chicanes around here, but it does unsettle the car quite a lot, especially with all the weight at the rear here. So I was mindful of that, and at the start, there was like a little 5-lap phase where I thought, all right, I'll just push a little bit, see if I can maybe break draft on Bowler, but he held with me strong, so I just backed it off again. Conserve tires because I knew if I could look after tires, he probably wouldn't be able to get past me. It is quite a tricky track to pass at. So that was sort of my game plan. But yeah, no, it was entertaining to watch the gap ebb and flow a little bit.
Indeed it was. Well, congratulations on your victory once again, Bo. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank for it?
Absolutely. A big shout out to all of you guys over at SimSpeed for your awesome broadcasts that you do. And also a shout out as well to the guys at Aussie Online Gaming for hosting the series.
Thanks very much, Bo Albert, for joining us. Next up, stood by with Nick Skariev. We're going to have a chat to second place overall and in pro, Matthew Bowler.
Yeah, congratulations there, Matthew Bowler. What an absolute qualifying lap there. We're almost... we thought potentially this could be the one where you had that edge over Bo.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago at the last round, I managed to actually pit pole off him as well and get the round win. So I knew coming into Zolder that I had the upper edge. I've actually never been able to be so close to Bo as I was tonight. So super thrilled to get pole over him. I actually got an off track on a lap that was about 2/10 quicker. So I was a bit shattered with that, but we're able to hold him off and stick with him the entire race. But yeah, we just couldn't get past him.
Yeah, absolutely. Did the late change in the track layout, did that shake you up at all? I know that both yourself and Bo would have done quite a lot of practice in the lead up here to this AOG race.
Yeah, with the layout change, I actually didn't do too many laps on the first layout. I was pretty busy because it was actually my birthday during the week. So yeah, it interfered with how much I practiced. So I didn't do as much practice as I would have liked. Maybe if I did a bit more, I would have been able to beat Bo. But yeah, I mean, it didn't really affect me. So I enjoy the layout we did over the faster layout.
I have to ask you now, Matt, how old did you turn?
Oh, 20. I'm getting old.
20? You make us feel old, I think. It's usually customary. Reese usually sings their birthday if it's someone on their streams their birthday, but might just let you go off the hook this time.
I mean, I wouldn't decline that offer, but it was 4 days ago, so...
Not that I can repeat it anyway, because the happy birthday song is copyrighted.
Yeah.
Call me privately and do it.
Absolutely, Matt. Well, congratulations again. Any people and sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I'll just thank the guys at Visceral Esports for everything they've been doing for me. Everyone at AOG, Dan especially for all the hard work he puts on for this league to make it happen, and obviously you guys here at SimSpeed for dedicating your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again, Matt Bowler, and we're just seeing, yeah, definitely that gap between yourself and Bo just gets sharper and sharper. So really hoping to see some strong things in our last 5 rounds coming up.
Yeah, thank you, Nick.
Well, there we go. Matthew Bowler, second on the road here. Third on the road was the number 888 of Robbie Gibbs. Already got a win down this season at Silverstone, Robbie, and a podium here at Zolder. You must be happy.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's a bit all for nothing because I joined the season a bit too late, but it's good to rack up the accolades and have fun doing it.
Got a bit dramatic between you and your Pro-Am teammate Lachlan Capel towards the end of the race. What was your view on that?
I don't know. I thought there was enough room. Like, it looked on my screen that he'd given me enough room, so I don't know if it was a bit of netcode or something. But no, he was going to get past me eventually because I had no rear tyres left. But it's a bit of a shame that it ended that way because he was having a good run.
Indeed he was, but still, it's podium for you, Robbie. Who do you have to thank?
I'd just like to thank the team at AOG and SimSpeed for making it all happen.
Well, Robbie Gibbs, car 888 in it with a nice podium here. Pro-Am class victory went to Dylan Shepherd, stood by with Nick.
Dylan, congratulations. We didn't actually see too much of you on the feed. We saw a few incidents there, maybe in the qualifying. Was it were you having a bit of difficulty there, just trying to get that pace in and the heat into the tyres?
Yeah, I don't know. I always seem to just make a fool of myself in quali on the first lap or two, but I just hit the apex, put it on the throttle, and spun out. Bit of a Gumby, but yeah, I'm still struggling to extract the speed in quali, but still got really good race pace, and having to make my way through the field a little bit. It can be a bit hard and challenging, but yeah, got a bit lucky tonight, so yeah, pretty happy with the result in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward, I know that there would have been probably a fair amount of practice here that went into Zolder. I know that we've got our Asia Pacific rounds coming up, so the Fuji Speedway, we've got a few ideas in mind on how you're going to approach that one.
Yeah, I mean, preparation was a little bit minimal for me this week. Still turning around the Porsches in real life between Tail and Ben and Sandown this week, so I was only managed to get in a few laps last night, but it kind of seemed everyone else was struggling a bit, so I thought I'd just have to go in and make the most of it. I'm always pushing for a win, but you just got to try your best and just hope for the best, and unfortunately was lucky enough tonight. I mean, what happened to Lockie on the last lap is unfortunate. I haven't seen the incident, but he had the pace to win, and I think he deserved it. Don't know what happened in the end, but up until that point, he definitely deserved the win, so I definitely got lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, really look forward to see how you go there at Fuji and the Australian rounds after that, and it's just, yeah, it's great seeing you go from strength to strength. Any people and sponsors you'd like to thank?
Not really. I'm still privateering at the moment, but yeah, just like to thank all the AOG boys for putting on such a cool series, and all the guys that show up each week. It's cool to be on track with some really good drivers, and yeah, and just a shout out to you guys at SimSpeed for putting on a good show. It's just great to go back and watch it at the end of each time and enjoy the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again there, Dylan Shepherd there with our Pro-Am win, and I'll take it back to Reese.
Indeed, for the AM class victor, Javin Wood in car 369. It was a pole and a win for you here, Javin, and a pretty good performance all up. How was the start of the race for you? Because things did get a bit chaotic, didn't they?
Yeah, thought I was going to crash on the first chicane for sure, and the two in front of me got together, but managed to steer clear. I don't know if I got any damage, but yeah, just kept going and turned the laps out from there on.
How did you feel about the strategy here? Because it was pretty straightforward, just a single pit stop, and I guess not many issues with that. Were tyres a factor?
No, these felt pretty good. No, I didn't really go into it with much of a strategy at all, and yeah, just pitted with about 4 laps of fuel left, and that was about it, really. Yeah.
Well, in either way, that is another win on the board, and in the AM class, certainly, there's not much in the way of catching Nicholas Garriott up at the top, but still must be very welcome for you. Who would you like to thank, Javin?
Well, I thought he had a bit of a lead on us at the moment, but maybe I haven't looked recently.
No, he definitely does, but yeah, either way, you taking the win here, certainly a very welcome thing.
Yeah. Just thank the boys at PRT for not watching my race, probably. Nah, we're pretty chilled out, so we're not much to thank, to be honest. And my teammate didn't race because his mic wasn't working and didn't want to go without that, so it's pretty lonely, to be honest. Felt like practice, really, after that.
Well, either way, that is Javin Wood and car 369, M-Class victor here at Zolder. And, well, Nick, now we turn our attention forward. In 2 weeks' time, of course, we are going to be racing at Fuji Speedway, new addition to the schedule based on the driver's choice. So I'll be looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Great way to wrap up here at Circuit Zolder. So it always throws up so much action. You'd have to say these techie tracks maybe suited to maybe some of the slower cars, but it is cool seeing these Porsches absolutely thunder around.
They'll be thundering around Fuji in a fortnight's time. We hope that you'll be able to join us for that. I'm Reese Gardner, Nick Scarriev alongside me in the comms box, and Jake Kennedy on production, bringing you these pictures on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook Live as well. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We want to thank the team at AOG for putting this series on, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God!